council will come to order. Do the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Maybe we could put it on the prayer out there, or was it like Mr. Mary do it?
I don't know where it went. I have no idea. All the cleaning up that's been going on, it's usually right there.
Mary could just wing
He
it.
can wing it.
If
He
you
had
could just
vacation.
prepare, Mr. Mary.
I can do it.
Please stand this rule.
Father, we thank you for our deliberations tonight as a council and as members of the Hardy community. We ask your blessings on all our deliberations and help us to always remember that we're here to serve the people. We thank you for the opportunity we have to be in a free country and love among the people like we have here in Hardy. Thank you. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember roll call, please.
Allen, absent. Barry,
Here.
Garland,
Here.
Horrell,
Here.
Taylor, here. Wise.
Here.
Mayor, you have 5 out of 6. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Minutes approval, please.
You should have in your packet the minutes of the March 1st regular meeting. If you've had a chance to look them over, I would entertain a motion to approve those.
I've read them. I entertain a motion.
Okay,
second it.
Barry makes a motion. Councilman Harrell makes a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, you have the minutes from the public hearing that we held prior to the regular meeting last month. If you've had a chance to look those over, I would entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll do that too.
Okay, Barry,
I'll second.
and a second by Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Have the agenda in front of you. Do I have any changes to that agenda that anyone's aware of? Mayor?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. We'll go forward with that agenda then and call it approved. Okay, Mayor?
And that will be the A&P report, party A&P report. Mr. Hoosier.
Okay, we've actually had 2 meetings since our last city council meeting. The first one was a special meeting on March 7th. The motion was made by Hurl to revisit the motion that was passed and have the commission handle their own finances. After discussion, Commissioner Smith rescinded the motion. The motion was made to have the city continue doing the bookkeeping and provide the financial reports needed to help the commission to do business to the financial secretary Garland. That was our special meeting. Our regular meeting was March 28th. Motion to approve minutes was for the March 7th and February 28th meetings was made and passed. The financial report, the balance sheet was presented. Operating account balance of $71,881.78. Capital reserve account $1,036.33. Magazine ads line item was over budget. It was tabled to our next meeting. Smith gave an update on the website and ideas to enhance going forward. Oral gave an update on the Civic Center needs. We'll prepare a list for our next meeting, electrical work, restrooms, and parking lot. Smith presented information on the lighting upgrades. We'll look at previous meetings minutes as to the information on an events coordinator. Garland presented the business directory as being updated and ready to print, awaiting final check. Approval has been made for 5,000 copies. Tiffany Maltezo from the CJRW made a presentation on our magazine advertising and was invited back for our next meeting. The comment was made to look into the possibility of a marketing director. Motion was made and passed to have 2 meetings a month on the second and fourth Mondays at 6 o'clock until we get caught up on the various projects that we are working on. We will meet April 11th, 2022 at 6 p.m. The motion was made and passed to have Sue Taylor added to the accounts at the FNBC Bank. Motion passed. Authorized signers will work with FNBC to get Darlene Wilson the needed information in a timely manner. Jake Butler presented an interest in purchasing part of the A&P property for a family Dollar Tree. We will discuss this at our next meeting. Dennis Horton has presented a rental agreement to lease the Civic Center for an entire year for the Thursday dances. Discussion on setting fees was made and approval was tabled until our April 11th meeting. Chandler Slater made a presentation for the Spring River Car Show June 4th and asked for $700 for advertising. The motion was made and approved for the $700. Rebecca Ashcroft of the Hardy History Association presented the Hardy Walking Tour. Motion was made and passed to give $450 to support the printing for this event. Smith presented information on the solar eclipse, which we discussed at our upcoming meeting. Smith gave information and encouraged attendance at the small business workshops in Cherokee Village, and information on the upcoming Pie Festival, April 15th through the 17th. Our next regular meeting will be Monday, April 11th at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Our city financial, recorder treasurer, please.
Okay, in your packet, starting on page 7 are the financials. I have had a little more time to review these this time, so they're marked as draft, obviously, because I don't have a March reconciliation done on everything. I do want to point out a couple of things. On your revenue, your sales tax is right at 23% received, which is a little under the 25% of the year we're through, but it's also a slower time, so I feel like that's pretty much on schedule. Under the Parks and Rec, the gym, the grants for the gym, that's the income from USDA Rural Development for the HVAC at the gym that we received. The next page, we have just some few line items that I wanted to point out. The APRS retirement, of course, is over where it should be at this point because of obviously the APRS that we had to pay out for the mayor and the recorder treasurer for the previous year. So that was in the budget at the beginning of the year and already in there, but we'll have to possibly amend that line. I need to look at the totals for the year and see about that. Repairs and maintenance is over. We've done quite a bit of maintaining basically in City Hall. We put the blinds up. I don't know if anyone noticed our new blinds in here. We've done some lighting. We're working on trying to get some lights replaced and the dusk to dawn light outside and some other miscellaneous maintenance. I'm over budget on that. There's a few other things that I want to talk about, but I want to bring a revised budget to the next meeting, so I'm going to go over that in more detail at the next meeting. The salaries are also over where they should be at this time. That's also the premium pay that you approved, the fact that we have the former recorder treasurer on payroll for 5 months, and then the leave payout for employees that left at the end of the year and were paid, their leave was paid out in January. Next page, we have the fire budget, the truck, the repair and maintenance is over on that. And just talked to our fire chief about that. I know part of that was a transmission that was out that we had to pay for on one of the trucks. And so we'll be looking at revising that budget as well. The library is just right on track at about 50%. Well, it's actually a little bit ahead, but we had some blown insulation that was done at the library that caused that. It's not over for the year, but it's over where it would normally be at this time of the year. Parks and Recs has the new construction budgeted line item. It's not over. It's just that's what we've actually paid out this year for the gym HVAC. So overall, that's not way out of whack. It's pretty much where it should be. And then under the police expenses, the equipment purchases, I guess, would be the thing to point out. The the Southern software that you've approved, part of that's been paid, as well as the radios. So that's the major things I had to point out on that. I'd entertain any questions you have about that, and then I have a couple other comments to make about that. Any other questions on what you see in front of you there with the financials? So I mentioned that at the next meeting, I will revise some budget items to bring us back in line with where we need to be, or move some items around, I think is what we'll be able to do. We also have discussed the Recovery Act money that we got. You paid the premium pay out of that, and the reporting portal is up, so once I can do that and review the final rule and know what we can pay, I'll be coming back to you with a request for what we're going to pay out of the, I call it ARPA, but it's called several different things, the Recovery Act grant. So we'll come back to you on that next month or in June on that. And then I wanted, because I know he's itching to talk because he hasn't been up here in a while, our former recorder treasurer to come talk to you about an item that we had to pay out last month to Lofty. So I'm going to let Greg talk about that.
You were also going to mention the TARP funds for fire.
Okay, yes, so the premium pay, I talked to our municipal league attorney. After you approved paying the premium pay for the fire and the other, we had that at that meeting. You approved paying that. We were planning to take that out of the ARPA funds. That's still questionable. I've had other cities say that you can't do that. I've talked to the attorney about it. There's a possibility we can justify taking that and paying that out of it, but if not, that part of that premium pay that you paid will be paid out of our regular budget. That's another reason I didn't want to revise the budget yet. I want to make sure I have that figured out before I have that revision made.
We've run into that, and honestly, we're doing that if you want to call it, I have an ordinance or something.
They're going to take it out of their ARPA grant?
And our county did that as well, so.
I think there's a little gray area there that we probably can. That's why I haven't.
Clarksville did it.
Okay, good to know.
I've got some ordinances if you need to look at.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, I want to talk to you about LAFI. That's a local official fire and police retirement fund. We pay into those funds two ways. We pay for retirement for each volunteer fireman, a certain portion every month for them to be here. They get a retirement because of that. And then the police officers, or any full-time personnel, if we had a full-time person in fire, we pay it also. We pay for, they pay a portion, and we pay a portion for them to have a retirement plan also. And so let me tell you a little bit how it works, and I'm going to tell you what the issue is. We deduct LAFI expenses out of payroll. Every time we do payroll, we'll take out so much and put it over to the payroll fund to pay LAFI for that expense. And we do it every year. And of course, the last 2 years, the state has come back and given us what they call an adjustment. And that adjustment averages $7,000 to $8,000. Basically, it's a discount on what we owe. We don't have to pay it. We still continue to put those funds in the payroll account. I didn't stop it under my administration doing that. And the recorder treasurer here may want to do that in the future, but I did not. So technically, we accrued about $12,000 to $15,000 in the fund that was never spent because the state gave us funds. So that's where we set as of coming into this year. When Ms. Wilson took over and we got a different staff in here, I started working on some things that I wanted to make sure were correct before I left. One of the things we're doing right now is we have all of our books, or at least the general fund books, are in the auditor's hands. I want to be here while they're auditing my books and help her with any questions they may have, so I didn't want to leave for that. But the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure the LAFI was being taken out properly. It's not easy. As the mayor will attest to, when he came in, we had to pay back fees for, I think, Gerald Trawl and 4 or 5 others, because you leave them off the roster, you don't tell LAFI they're in the system, and for 2 years or whatever it is, they don't get credit. You have to go back and do it. They charge you a premium to do that. That's what's happened this time. I have gone through and found, I think it was 11 people that were not in the roster. I didn't think it was anything to do with 2020, it was more 2021, but I found a few that were not in 2020. Now these people got paid. These are mostly volunteer firemen. There's a couple of volunteer, we call them volunteer police, they're really part-time police. But when it came down to it, I had 11 individuals that I had to go back and readjust into the LAFI program to fix it. And what happened there is it cost us $9,000, $9,300 something to fix that. So it's a penalty, my fault. I take full responsibility, and you can fire me today, and I'll be happy to go. But I felt like it had to be done, and there really wasn't any way around it. As soon as we found that mistake and the Lofty personnel started working with us, we had to pay. There's no, we'll get you later or whatever. We get thrown out of the program, as the counselor will tell you, we'll be thrown out of the program and we're non grata with it, so we had to pay. Luckily, the funds I had to pay with were already in the payroll account. Technically, your predecessors back, Sue and others, when they were here in the first 2020 and 2021, had approved a budget to put the Lofty money into payroll each month. So those monies sat there. And what I was going to do this year was I was going to I suggested to the new treasurer that we basically pull those funds back and show it as a form of income for the year. You're only going to be able to do that with about $4,000, it looks like, because I had to use the rest of it to pay up the Lofty. I think we're correct. I'm talking with the treasurer now. I'd like to say this is not going to ever come up again, but this is a hard program to administer because you pay it after the fact. For instance, we pay the volunteer firemen. We do what we call a reimbursement. We do it quarterly, so you pay them for every fire call they go on, and pay them for every meeting they attend. We do that quarterly. Well, sometimes I'll see someone being paid that's not on the roster. It's either I missed it or the chief missed it somehow. So there's a lot of correction that needs to be done. My point to you is before I leave, I'd like to get that worked out. I'll probably want to talk to both the chiefs and the mayor and get the blessing of the treasurer and bring you an ordinance that will help us kind of do that a little better. I think it would be helpful. For instance, if someone's on the roster, think of the roster as a list of people that we have as volunteer firemen. And these people come and go. I mean, we have about 16 people that we track right now as part of our roster. They come and go. As the mayor will tell you in his prior life, you've got a guy on here and he moved out of town. You just didn't catch him. So those people need to be taken off. Others need to be put on. Well, it's just hard to keep up with. So I think one of the things we want to do is if they're on the roster and they're not been paid and been to a meeting in the last quarter, 3 months, we may want to figure out a way to make sure we don't pay that or we get correction for it or what have you. But I'm here to fall on my sword and say we spent $9,000 of your money that we thought we were going to have as revenue because we had to go back and take care of it. So that's kind of where we are. I'll be happy to answer questions if you have any.
But is that 9,000 come out of that 12 you had set back?
Yeah. So he's not even showing up in the budget because of that. But I want to make sure full disclosure is that you know about it. The auditor will find it. The auditor will want to know about it because I did use those funds. But I could have spent those funds last year and it would be perfectly legal. It's just this year it's carried over, and full disclosure, you need to be aware of it.
I just want to say I appreciate Greg a lot for all the cleanup work he's been able to do, and I appreciate the council letting him stay on, or the mayor hiring him to stay on and help with this, because there's a lot of that kind of thing. I wouldn't have known to even look for it at this point. And, it could have gone on for a couple more years and had more penalties, so I appreciate that. However, I would like to, since that's not in the budget at all, it's not shown on here even at all because of the way it was paid out, I would like a motion, if I could, for the council to approve that payment.
I'll make a motion to pay it. If we gotta pay it, we gotta pay it.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. Councilman Horrell,
I'll second that.
and a second by Wise. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Should I do a roll call vote? That's money.
Otherwise,
Yes, okay. Barry?
I approve it.
Okay. Taylor?
Yes.
Horrell?
Yes.
Yes.
Garland? Wise?
Yes.
Okay, motion
Thank you
passed.
for
Thank
making
you.
more mistakes.
Don't do it.
Well, if you do, it's in my favor, right?
I will say part of his cleanup and the time that he's had to do things, there's been lots of mistakes found, and we're glad to get them cleaned up and be better going forward.
I was about to
With his-
on COVID, but it's not going to.
And I will say, he reminded me, I had intended to put it on my notes, but we do have 20 and 21 books with the auditor, the legislative auditor, and we have the 2021 water files with the water auditors. So we're hoping that those audits will get done before he leaves, so because they are his books. So I think that's all on financials, unless there's any more questions for me.
Thank you. So our committee reports, we'll start with the fire department. Josh, is everything new?
Everything's running good. We did have a truck go down. We had to get transmission rebuilt and some electrical problems, which did set us back quite a bit. It was our heavy rescue truck, which services this entire end of the county and Fulton County. And Everything's really good. We fully intend to have some trucks and some guys down at the Easter egg hunt, just interacting with kids, trying to teach them, stop, drop, and roll, close your doors at night, basic fire safety.
Thank you very much. And that fire truck is back in service,
Yes,
correct?
sir. All of our trucks are in service and running good.
Great, thank you. We'll see you at the Easter egg hunt for sure. Police department.
Yes, I talked to Officer Rose earlier today, and pretty much everything's good. He told me to report that there was a couple of traffic stops that led to some pretty major drug bust on the deal. He wanted me to throw in the car deal. Some of y'all kind of know this. We sold a vehicle for $900. They donated it back. We've sold it and done some other stuff, and now we have another patrol car. You'll see it run around town. And he says we have less than $2,000 in that patrol car with all the equipment and everything. So I was pretty pleased about that.
60-some thousand miles, is that correct?
That's right.
Really a good deal. For 2,000, we got probably a $15,000
Yes.
car on the road.
Yeah.
That's great. Public Works. Have anyone, Mr. John, is everything going all right?
Yes, sir, we're doing great.
Wonderful. Your new man's on the job?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. All right, the gym, heat and air system in the gym update is that it is completed. The heat system has been in operation now for 2 or 3 weeks, and my comments have all been good. Everybody said it heated it good, and the thermostats, so we're gonna have to lock them just for a security reason. But I'll say this, I've been checking them, John's been checking them, and to my knowledge, everybody's treating them correct. They're turning them back down to 50, and that's great. So the air conditioning system, when the electrician gets it on his schedule, it's just probably a one-day deal, and it will be in operation, which in this kind of weather, hopefully quick. The Beaufort Beach Restrooms update and renovations down at the beach. Right now, any day could be groundbreaking, and it's on the schedule for the water company to put the water line in. So it's going, and I just haven't seen the shovel hit the ground yet, but it's still in the process and will be happening. The renovations at the Dr. Thompson Park, thanks to the Councilman David Gardner.
Well,
He has got most of the equipment in, is that correct?
yes,
And going to start to work on that pretty quick now.
we need to have a council paint party sometime.
Council paint party.
Hamburgers and hot dogs.
After the meeting tonight, did you
No,
say?
no, this will be on a Sunday evening late.
I got
That way we can lock them up for a couple of days.
Well, I'll volunteer to help you with it.
Okay.
Sure will.
Sounds good.
Now, and I want to go into the mobile vendors committee. That is kind of got on the back burner for no other reason than we hadn't all got together. But to stop from losing any business, we're going to go ahead and reenact what we have in place until we can get together with that committee. And we're going to probably revamp a few things. But for now, instead of holding everybody up this time of year, we've opened it back up. It's just like it has been. There's an ordinance in place and everybody's been complying with it. I think that's the smoothest way to handle it. And then the changes that we may possibly make, we'll go over it with the committee and bring it back to the council meeting before anything's done. Building permit fees. We have been waiving the fees. And I like to say this is my fault. I thought it was from June to June, and the Board of Treasurer corrected me today that was in January. I'm just asking that we go ahead and make it to the end of June as is, waiving the fees, and at that time it'd be reviewed by the city council whether or not to start charging the fees again. I mean, the COVID's over, and hopefully it's over, I say that lightly. That's something that really needs to be looked at again by y'all, but I'm just asking if y'all would agree to go ahead and leave it as is until the 30th of June.
Yes.
All right, that's what we'll handle that.
We get a motion and a second on that, I think.
I think David did, I second it.
Okay, Garland and Barry, all in favor?
Does involve money.
Yeah, it does involve money, so we'll do a roll call. Wise,
Yes.
Garland, Horrell, Taylor,
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Okay, that's extending it to June 30. Motion passes.
Thank you all. And ordinance number 2022-1. Is that the one with the employee services?
You want to do the lawn care service contract first,
Yep.
under unfinished business?
I have actually got it, I skipped over it, didn't I?
You did.
I'm sorry, the lawn care service, and each one of y'all have a copy of the advertisement that we put out and the 3 bids that was received by the city. And would like to make a decision on that tonight,
Here's the bids.
because the grass is growing. And I know all 3 people and companies that have bid are outstanding individuals, every one of them. Mr. The previous employer that bid on that, he has added some things to it. Of course, he has some inside knowledge of what we really want done too, and he kind of volunteered some of that, but the bid is all real close. His is a little bit higher. Y'all know who that is?
It's on my deal, right?
Yes, sir.
But if I remember, what the mayor pointed out that he's offered to do more.
Yes.
Then other,
Yeah, well, and that's
Yeah, quite a
probably,
bit more, huh?
And the standard is the lowest responsible bidder, so that would be
and
what
all,
the city would look at.
all parties involved, 2 of them does not have their insurance information here, but they both told me that they have the insurance and it's in good standing. So, and it would be put on our file with their application, whoever.
Is this for 6 months?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then,
6 months, and it has the contract, which y'all do not have, that was written up by Attorney Ryder.
It actually is in their packet.
Did you go in?
Page 15?
Lawn service
Yes.
contract?
Page 15.
Okay, then, pretty self-explanatory. It will have to be completed and signed by all of us before this person begins work. We'd like to start tomorrow, if we can come to an agreement tonight. So have y'all,
almost, we're getting 6 more things done, if I'm reading right.
that's right.
And that's what's impressive, you get more
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, if it's okay, motion or whatever, but 6 of things are getting done compared to,
okay? So that's the middle price bid. They're all real close.
Well,
All the companies are real competitive, real close.
What was the highest price, the extra what?
The highest price for the total, $18,450 for the year. No, we had a higher bid than that. I'm sorry, that when you asked, I had one for 20,000, I had one for 18,000. That was the total for the year. And that's mowing 3 times a year. They bid it
A month.
I'm sorry,
A month.
3 times a month. I stand corrected again.
It's only said that about 5 times on.
Right. So it will mean that, and that's how they bid it, because they know how long it takes them to do the complete round of mowing. A lot more than I do, because they've done it. All of them, all these people that have bid are companies that are professionals and in good standing in the communities. If anyone has a recommendation,
I also noticed on this one here, they're gonna do it, make sure it's done before the holidays, whenever people are coming in and everything. That'd be,
will that be a problem with him? He would be without.
he knows better than I do.
Yeah, that's right.
all right, so as long as everybody knows, I mean, the holidays and everything, whatever, cool, life is good.
There is a clause in your contract that if you're not satisfied or you have a problem, that we can go directly to the contractor and make adjustments. It's in the contract between them, and all 3 of them would be agreeable to it, I'm satisfied.
Okay, life is good.
I'd say Tim Cooper.
But
Can we have a motion? Is that a motion? Okay, a motion from Garland to accept the bid from Tim Cooper and second by Horrell. Okay, do a roll call on that since it's money.
Yeah.
Okay, Taylor,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Wise,
Yes.
Garland,
Yes.
Horrell.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, motion passes.
Mr. Cooper's bid then. Gotta have it. And y'all also had the where it's advertised in your package. Okay. So now we go back to ordinance 2022-1. Again, there's no heading, so like, is that the city service provided by him?
It is, it says city services provided by employee. This is the current employee, he's a volunteer fireman, Jason Creasy, supplying some services for us, and we need an ordinance to approve payment of those. So, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about what it was, or...
Yeah, I think what happened when I first came into office, the city of Harding was paying an employee of the city for 2 different jobs. And when we found that out, we corrected it, but not in time, because Greg and I both got reprimanded for it verbally. Wasn't a big deal, and almost every city does this, but once you get stopped, you don't make the same mistake twice. And that's what this means. If you have an employee, we can't pay them to do 2 jobs without the approval from the council. So if this is a carpenter position here, he does painting and handyman work, and he's offered to do some work for the city. And we told him we can't set it up and pay you for it until the council decides whether or not to do it. And all it would be doing, we're giving this particular person, and again, this could be more than one, is that not correct? It could be more than 1 employee.
Oh, if you pass this ordinance,
Each
but you're just
ordinance.
limited it to.
This ordinance is just being limited to 1, because it could be a real mess if you passed everybody. So if something else comes up and there's another employee that can provide a service at a reasonable rate, more so than bidding it out or something, then we'd come back and do it. This is just be for that Mr. Creasy to do some carpenter work for the city, probably for the rest of the year. I don't plan to extend it throughout past a year. Actually, through the end of this year. I would designate it to the 30th of December, that way the responsibility ends there.
So I entertain a motion for us to read that ordinance.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Okay. Councilman Berry, second by Taylor. I'm going to let you read it if you
Read
don't.
the whole, you want me to read the whole one?
The first time.
We ready?
Yeah, do you want
No,
this?
I don't, I can talk. Are we ready?
Yes, please.
Ordinance number,
Or do I need a vote for you to read it? I'm sorry. All in favor?
I'll make a vote.
All in favor for him to read it? I've already got the motion in a second by Barry and Taylor. Say aye, please. Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
proposed ordinance number 2022-1, an ordinance authorizing Jason Creasy to supply general maintenance and repair services to the city of Harding, while also a volunteer fireman, whereas Arkansas Code 1442-107B1 states, no alderman, council member, official, or municipal employee shall be interested directly or indirectly in the profits of any contract for furnishing supplies, equipment, or services to the municipality unless the governing body of the city has enacted an ordinance specifically permitting aldermen, council members, officials, or municipal employees to conduct business with the city, prescribing the extent of its authority. And whereas the City Council of the City of Harding has made a comprehensive study and review of the laws governing limitations of city officials being employed by or receiving funds from the city while serving as an employee volunteer of the City of Harding. And whereas Mr. Jason Creasy, a city volunteer fireman, wishes to provide general maintenance and repair contract services to the City of Harding for a fee. And whereas in the opinion of the City Council, Mr. Creasy is authorized to provide these services to the City of Harding with full disclosure of his relationship with the fire department. Now therefore it be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Harding, Arkansas, Section 1, pursuant to ACA 1442-107, Mr. Jason Creasy is hereby specifically authorized to supply general maintenance and repair contract services to the City of Harding for a fee. Section 2, emergency clause, being that it is necessary for the preservation of the public health, safety, and welfare of this ordinance, shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage and approval. passed and approved by the mayor and council of the city of Hardy on this day of 2022.
Okay, so do we want to do a motion to waive the second and third readings and read by title only?
Yeah, make a
Motion by Wise, second by Barry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Barry, okay. Motion passes to read by title only.
I've added more to the title because we need to recognize in the ordinance that there's an emergency clause. Proposed ordinance number 2022-1, an ordinance authorizing Jason Creasley to supply general maintenance and repair services to the city of Hardy, while also volunteer firemen, declaring an emergency for other purposes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I need a motion to accept that ordinance as read.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Wise,
Second that.
second by Garland. All in favor? Any opposed? Did you vote?
Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes to accept the ordinance as read. Do I hear a motion to approve the emergency clause? Do we need that separately, or is it, okay? To approve the emergency clause, motion by Wise
Second.
and a second by Garland to enact that emergency clause to implement this ordinance immediately. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I'll just read that part again that I inserted at the top, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Sorry about that. I read
Okay.
the body and just forgot completely about that.
Okay, I'll get that added before we sign it and enact it. Do we need a motion also to approve entering into the contract with Jason, or?
No, that's the mayor's, the mayor has the authority.
He has the authority.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
thought he did, okay. All right. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, getting close to the bottom, and we've become a Purple Heart city, we hopefully, as of tonight. And before the treasurer and I thought that Mr. Grider does such a good job reading, we'd let him read that letter to the public tonight.
Proclamation.
Yes,
State of Arkansas, City of Hardy, Purple Heart Proclamation. Whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest decoration in present use and was initially created as the badge of military merit by General George Washington in 1782. Whereas the Purple Heart was the first American Service Award of decoration made available to the common soldier. It is specifically awarded to any member of the United States Armed Services wounded or killed in combat with a declared enemy of the United States. And whereas the mission of the Military Order of Purple Heart, chartered by an act of Congress, is to foster an environment of goodwill among the combat wounded veteran members and their families, promote patriotism, support legislative initiatives, and most importantly, make sure we never forget. And whereas the city of Hardy has a significant population of highly decorated military members, active duty and retired, as well as Purple Heart recipients or their relatives living in the community. And whereas the city of Hardy recognizes the commitment and increasing sacrifices military families are making, now therefore I, Ernest R. Rose, Mayor of the City of Hardy, Arkansas, as a confirmation of our commitment to honor those who serve and have served to keep our country free, proclaim Hardy, Arkansas as a Purple Heart city. In testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of Hardy, Arkansas, this 5th day of April in the year of our Lord 2022.
I'd like to say that Councilman Taylor requested that we pursue that, and I checked around and found the National Military Order of the Purple Heart. There's a district in Jonesboro, and the man there gave me the information on how to do that, so we were happy to do that. I'd like to get a photo, have a photo up here with the mayor and Sue with our signs. These will go at all 3 entrances into the city. So you want to get up there? Let me get you. Don't hide your face and look at me. Touch it or something, Sue.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm really proud to see this hanging in any town. I'm proud to see it going up in Hardy.
We have a few guests.
And thank you.
Yes, thanks for asking.
This one guest is pretty long-winded. I don't know if we can keep him down to 3 minutes, but Mr. Ritchie, Steve Ritchie.
You have to work down.
We may have to move him out.
these?
Yeah, be interesting.
I'll just
You
make
can,
that.
I've got mine up there for you.
I don't know, we've already been over this once, but I'll refresh it here. May the 21st, and it is 42 miles from the city of Hardy back to the city of Hardy. Lady has donated a section of her property. It's already cut grass, but I have permission to cut it again if we need to. And guaranteed her that we will clean it up. It'll look better when we leave than when we get there, I guarantee you that. But already have several new businesses that's going to donate door prizes. So we had 27 giveaways on that last Friday. I'd like to hopefully we get to that point again. We have $25 per unit, so if there's 4 people, we had Jeeps, everything come up, so if there's 4 people in a vehicle, it's $25 per that vehicle, not per person. There's 1 ticket per drawing. We do $100 cash draw, and we do 5 $20 cash draws. We fed 175 people on that last ride. I don't know if we'll get anywhere near that this time. I'm hoping we do. And the new bathroom project down here is where the money's proceeds is going to go for that. We put, I think it's $605 in on that last one. Hope we can do that, and maybe double that on this time. So if anybody's got any questions?
Each $25 entry provides meals for everybody on that vehicle.
Yeah, and I haven't just anchored it down yet, but it's the barbecue Bobby and Sandy's. I talked to Sandy up there one day last week. And I've ordered enough for 150, which is like we started with the last time, and we ended up, going to 175. And there was 5 people I know did not eat.
That's because they left early.
They left early.
We had plenty of food.
Yeah, we had enough food. We feel like we could have fed 190 maybe. Yeah. And we've had people out of Tennessee and Kentucky and Missouri, I guess Mississippi too, a couple of times.
Yeah, I think they've really been outstanding. We appreciate you doing all this.
No problem. Thanks to
May 21st.
Yeah, May 21st.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. Gracie? How you pronounce the last name?
I think it's Gonzalez. Gonzalez.
Gonzalez? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I have some concerns on Main Street and the area behind Main Street, because I've been looking around at some of the properties that are, I want to use a good word for it, they've been abandoned, roofs fallen in, trees on top of them, businesses on Main Street. How are we going to attract people here if we don't have the abandoned buildings? Have the owners of these buildings do something to the front of those buildings, whether it be maintenance, upkeep, and not using them for storage. How are we going to bring people, outsiders here, to brighten this community? It's a historical community, it's a beautiful community, and it's home for me now. And I'd like to own some more property here. However, my concern is the value of the property in the surrounding streets and the upkeep of Main Street. There's a lot of people that try really hard. I mean, Amanda plants flowers and they're beautiful. The corner where the restrooms are, gorgeous. But in a lot of other cities, I know this is a small community of 700 and what have you, 92 people, 72 people. But other people come here and we want to attract people here. I know I want to attract people because I'd like to be open. When I do open that door, I want to be open and stay open. And I want to provide jobs. But those places are an eyesore. And if these people don't do anything with their buildings, how are we going to enrich the community? And bring people here to spend their money so we can make this a prosperous community? My question to you, is there a situation where you have code enforcement where you can have somebody go and say, okay, you know, there's too much trash, you're not doing the upkeep of the front of your building, you're not allowing anyone to rent it out for God knows what reason you want to pass it down to your family, and I understand that. But for God's sakes, this is a 5-block radius, and we're trying to draw people here. And to open a business and want to stay open, we have seasonal times here, as it is. I don't care what the season is. Once I open that door, I'm going to stay open. So, I have my eye on a few other pieces, but my concern in going forward and purchasing anything, other than what we have already obtained, is what is the prosperity for the future? Is there any hopes to upgrade any of this stuff on Main Street? And the places that people have emotional attachment to, I understand that. However, it is downgrading the value of everything else here in Hardy by allowing homes to stay there with the roofs falling in and no one doing anything about it. There's something called, I know there's eminent domain, I know that probably doesn't fit into some of the places, but if you're going to use the place and redevelop it and bring other things for growth here for the future, then code enforcement, I'm here to plant a seed that the more you show up and write that ticket, the fix-it ticket, and they get to know that they have to pay a fine for not upkeeping their building or using the front of their building as a storage garage, that's not allowing Hardy to prosper. So I was here to plant a seed and to also ask a question about, can we enforce something with code enforcement, having these people that own properties to either clean it up, do something with it, so that we can grow as a community. Thank you for listening to
Well,
me.
thank you very much. Kind of reminded me of the first day Mr. Draper come to work for us. He said, that's an eyesore, and he's right. And it did get crooked. And in response to what this young lady's talking about, we have addressed several, and several have been fixed, and we are continuing. And as she wasn't here at that meeting, I called Little Rock, and they recommend we do not condemn unless we want to pay for the removal of the asbestos. So we went back and talked to individual owners. And she didn't mention, well, the location, but I can pretty well tell you what it's an eyesore. She's correct for that, 100%. I have talked to some of them, and I've had some other city people talk to them. The building inspector has went and talked to all but one of them himself. So I will say it's something that we will look into more, and I really would like to have, let's say, and not putting her on the spot either, y'all as a council, to make your own list. I think we all know what she talked about.
I got, just to add to that, I got something I just brought up here. There's two. I'm on a site here. It talks about the personal property shall be stored for no more than 30 days at the owner's expense. Like, if the owner of the personal property does not take possession of the personal property and pay the reasonable expenses within 30-day period, then you do have the right to say that the property is considered abandoned.
And I think the best, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, but I think the best way now that you've presented that is to file a formal complaint on and list an address so the mayor or whoever the code enforcement officer can properly go follow that up and comply. But like I said, I mentioned the gas tanks there at the Bolero. That was just something I thought was, this is a very nice town. I thought that was kind of place for it.
There is some other stuff we can put more emphasis on. I won't deny that. We have done some, and some of them have corrected them, and we've come a long way, but we do have further to go. So if y'all would please do that, and call me when you get a list, and I'll go over with you and tell you who we've talked to and what we might do. Be glad to look into it further. And thank you, Ms. Gonzalez, is that correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
for now.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. All good.
Is that an office or is that office?
Jonathan, is that you on this one? Okay, then I've got somebody else's name on it. Who's on?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that was just a sign-in sheet, my bad.
Well, I put you
You've
on
got
the
3
spot,
whole
didn't I?
minutes though, John, you can come talk.
Well, does anyone else have anything else to bring up?
We have a gentleman, Trey. Trey?
Yes, sir.
You wanted to talk, didn't you? Well, don't tell why you're here. I remember you saw me at another place about 4 weeks ago, and you asked about when the city council met, and I said, first.
He was, I think, wanted to come mingle and meet some of the people.
Yeah.
In the office you were
Tell
in
them who you
for.
are, what you're doing.
Is something you've talked to the people?
Yeah, I've reached out to the people and, you know, of course, there again, my first dive off in politics, so I don't want to do anything where,
Right.
someone reaches down to the extra minute.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming though.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, burned these roads up, back in high school and, into college, so very familiar with the
Very familiar with rivers and roads, I bet.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's a guarantee.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate you, sir.
Mr. Huson, I'll let you off the hook.
Appreciate it.
That's great. Anyone else have anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, could I ask you on the mobile vendors committee, as a restaurant owner, I would like to hear let my voice be heard, but hear what they have to say and plan. So where could I get in touch, or
I would suggest you come to the meeting.
when is?
That's the only way to do that, until
Okay.
you come to council. And it's not scheduled yet, that's why it's put on the back burner. We run into some complications that we don't want to make a hasty decision. We're gonna review that, and I've already talked to part of it. So we're gonna have another meeting, and it'll be public.
Do we have minutes and stuff
All
for
right.
the meetings you could get rid of?
No,
Okay.
I don't,
Okay, I didn't know.
because they don't turn it over to me.
Okay.
Okay, and that answers your question.
When, do we know when this meeting will be?
Well, it'll be publicized.
Where will it be public?
City Hall.
Oh, okay.
City Hall will advertise it, because it's members of people in the community and council.
Okay.
But it will be a meeting for that, not for a council meeting. When they present it to us, then it'll come up in the city council.
All
So
right.
nothing's changed, everything's as was. Okay, well, this meeting will be adjourned.
You
Oh,
have-
I'm sorry.
You
No,
have-
it's all right, I snuck in here.
I didn't see your hand
No,
up.
that's all right. Mayor and councilmen, I thank you so much, Hazel Whited. I know most of you, I think there's a couple new faces on this council, and I just want to let you know I'm running for state representative, I think you know that. But I wanted to really point out is I'm so excited about the Purple Heart, designation for the city. And I'm excited about the things that you guys are doing. You've come a long way. I noticed Mr. Greider's here. I didn't realize he's joining you also. And I know he's over at Pocahontas as well. And there were some things that I know that he has worked on for Pocahontas that might be of interest to you as you start looking at some of the abandoned building challenges that you have. And I'm sure he's mentioned some of that to you before. So it looks like there's some great talent that's coming on to the city and to progress this forward. But I'm super excited. And if some of you that already know me know that I have been a part of this community for a long time and continue to look forward to serving you. Perhaps in a new capacity, but many of you have my phone number, and if you don't, please let me know, and I would love to hear from you. But anyway, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for coming.
Mayor,
Yes,
can I have whatever veterans we have here with the sign and with Sue, and you have a picture afterwards? So whatever veterans are in this room, take a picture of you guys with the sign.
not necessarily Purple Heart.
No,
No,
I said just veterans.
Right, okay. We can fill this room up and have more.
You can ask for a motion to adjourn, just adjourn.
Oh, yeah, they guys won't do that, they leave me hanging. Does anyone make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion with your.
Motion by Wise, did I hear a second? Second by Garland to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Let's go, okay.